I actually kind of joked that maybe it was Steve Ballmer. He was a CEO at the time. Steve Ballmer's personality kind of trickled down throughout the entire company. Because I don't know if you've ever seen videos of Steve Ballmer. He's like just acting really wild and crazy on stage and going, "Yeah, I love this company."
Another thing is, I was wondering, when you're such an introvert, like you said, you could go days by yourself and you're fine.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people are getting cabin fever right
yeah.
now. Um, but do you have like any social anxieties, shyness at all, or is it just introverted?
It's way more introversion than anything else. Um, as far as shyness, um, I know I have experienced certain bits of shyness throughout my life. Um, this is something that I haven't really thought about in a long time. I know plenty of people have considered me shy throughout my life. And in fact, my senior year in high school, I was one of four people that was voted shyest in my senior class, which actually surprised me at the time. And it surprised a few other people who knew me too. And
But
so, like,
is it just because the misconception of shyness and introversion?
probably, I mean, I know I hadn't even heard of the word introvert at the time.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I went. So they pulled me out of class and to take the picture for the school newspaper. And it was kind of funny because like there were four of us in the shy category, and I didn't know any of the other three people. And then the photographer joked like, "No, it's because you're all shy. You don't talk to each other." But it's like I had friends. We just I don't know. I think so. My theory at the time was like the actual shyest people in the class would be the ones that nobody knows, and so nobody would vote for them. And so
Right.
people knew me. They knew me basically as the quiet guy. Um,
Right.
um, so yeah, yeah, definitely. I was definitely always quiet, especially in groups, and I never really had a problem with that. Um, I know other people did. Maybe other people felt uncomfortable, like they wanted to make sure I was okay and wanted to make sure I was comfortable in the group. Um, I I definitely hesitate in approaching people, like approaching strangers. If I want to ask somebody a question, like I've hardly ever, even now, I will hardly ever like just go up to somebody and ask them a question or ask them how to like ask somebody for directions or ask somebody to take a picture. Like if I want somebody to take a picture of me or something. Um, when I first started swing dancing, I was really shy about asking girls to dance. Yeah, most of these things though I've always seen as like, well, I can overcome them if I really want to.
Right.
Um, and I don't know if that, see, then I don't even know if that counts or, because I actually, when I was somewhat identifying myself as possibly shy, I
Hmm.
joined shyness related news groups. And the people on there, I think, had combinations of issues like including shyness, social anxiety, um, and probably like OCD and like a bunch of other issues like um, generalized anxiety. Um, so probably all these issues that they were labeling as shyness. So they would hear me talk about situations that I go through in life and how I overcome shyness, and they're like, "Oh, you're not really shy." Um,
Hmm.
so I think that's why I've always been confused. Is like, am I shy? Am I not shy? Like I don't know what I am. So I just kind of like just focused on like, okay, I'm quiet. I'm an introvert. That's all. That's really all I need to know. Um, so yeah.
Well, like when you hold back from talking to strangers, uh, is it out of what is it that holds you back? Is it fear? Is it just not wanting to bother them? Um,
I think it probably just I'm generally uncomfortable interacting with people that I don't know when I don't know what to expect.
mm,
Like if I just like I don't know like if I just see like a random stranger like at a bus stop, um, I don't know, like I don't know anything about them. I don't know how they would react to me approaching them with a question. Um, yeah, just basically just because I don't know how the conversation is going to go. And yeah, I mean it's silly, just like they could either answer my question or not. And if they blow me off, then it's like okay, well fine, I'll just move on to the next person. Um,
right.
but I think I would just I would rather figure something out on my own because I know I have the ability to. So I think for me, I just figure it's easier to figure stuff out on my own than to have to interact with people. Um, I don't know. I never really thought about like what actually goes through my mind or um, yeah, I never analyzing my own fears is one thing that I've never never like either never really been good at or been either or been willing to do, which is why I've had so much trouble figuring out my Enneagram type. Um,
Mm, yeah. Well, I don't know. Like for me, when it's dealing with people, I think it really depends on the situation. Like I do want to solve certain things by myself, but I think for me, it really is more of a fear. I don't know why. It probably is irrational to worry about whether somebody's not going to want to talk to you or think that you're weird or whatever because you asked this question.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, and I don't know how many other INFJs think of themselves or feel like they're shy rather than just introverted. Um,
yeah. Because I think that was why I joined the shyness groups because I didn't know like what else I was at the time. Like I didn't really know what introversion was. Um, and so yeah, and I probably still had the shy senior class thing fresh in my mind. So I was like, well, that was like the one word I could think of to describe myself. Um,
yeah. Um, but like when you're talking, giving the example of like on a bus or something like that, and you don't know how somebody's going to respond, and I thought that was kind of amusing because you're a very spontaneous person, and yet it sounds like you don't like uncertainty in certain things.
that is kind of true for me. Like okay, so I guess what I don't like is uncertainty about things that I can't control.
Right.
Like I can be spontaneous on my own, like go off and explore something that doesn't involve other people.
Hmm.
Because like if something goes wrong, then I can always just get myself out of it.
Right.
But like if I'm talking with a person and they steer things in a direction that I'm not expecting and something that I don't know how to handle, then it's like well then that person I kind of feel like I'd be under that person's control, and that's the
Mm,
kind of that's probably what I'm afraid of.
that's interesting. Yeah, because like for me, I hate surprises in general.
Hmm.
Um, I like going out on adventures and being spontaneous every once in a while, which from my understanding is the SE. Um, but I really don't like surprises. And I finally found somebody who mentioned it. I don't remember if I read it or if it was in a video, but just this week I saw something and it said, it's the NI, you're so used to taking things in intuitively that if something catches you by surprise, it like throws off your NI. And it's like, wait a minute, why did I not see that coming? I'm like, that makes sense, but I just hate surprises. They just get under my skin.
Yeah, but yeah.
Uh,
For me, it's always just about dealing with other people and not knowing what to expect when I interact with somebody. Because it never does go the way I expect. Um,
Right.
yeah.
So, well, how is that like when you do all these videos? Because you've done quite a few interaction videos, even if it's been a while.
Mhm.
Um, is it because you're just confident in your knowledge of the MBTI, or have you like talked to people and chat enough before doing a video with them?
Well, yeah, I mean, for stuff like this, it's like we have a basis for conversation. Like I go into knowing that we're going to talk about typology and something I'm knowledgeable about. We have like this commonality already that I already happen to know about, and it's like something we've already agreed upon, and so yeah, there isn't really anything that I would be afraid of not expecting. Um, yeah, so I'm just talking about like the things that I'm hesitant about are just like complete strangers where I know nothing about them and I have no idea how they're gonna react to me approaching them. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I generally don't have a problem with like if I'm say at church and a new person shows up because I'm already in a familiar environment and they're the ones who showed up and so they're looking to connect with people and so like I in those cases I have no problems with like just asking them this typical get to know you type questions. um, but yeah, the less I know and the less I feel like I'm in my in my element, the more I'll be hesitant to approach them.
Okay. Um, yeah, I was kind of like, I didn't think you would be so quick to say, yeah, sure, because we haven't really talked much before I asked you the video with you. So, like, okay, cool.
Well, I mean, I knew you from the NF Geeks forum, so like it wasn't
Yeah.
like some just some random person. Um, yeah, if I yeah if I had never even seen your name before, like if I didn't know anything about you, and like I just just kind of randomly messaged me, like I probably would have gone like started a little online dialogue first to kind of figure out who you were and like, why you wanted to do this thing. But
Yeah. Well, like, the forums, there's so many people there, especially at the NF Geeks Facebook page. And
yeah,
I'm like, it's hard to kind of keep track of everybody, so I didn't know if you would even recognize my name or not.
oh, okay. Um, well, yeah, well, I know you've been fairly active, kind of sporadically throughout this past year. So
Yeah.
I've encountered you plenty of times. So it's
Okay.
yeah.
All
So
right.
yeah, I knew who you were.
I've been so sporadic, and it's like I know who other people are, especially being online. It's not like when you're face to face and you see somebody and you know who they are,
Yeah,
and you kind of expect them that they remember you because oh yeah, we were in that circle of friends talking, or whatever. And it's online, it's like there can be 10, 12 people talking, and suddenly you have like 200 comments on one thing.
yeah,
I get like really overwhelmed, and I think that's one reason why I'm really sporadic.
yeah.
Because like it's just so hard to keep track.
Yeah, I generally a lot of times I won't remember like what people have said what or what type like even what type people are. But
Mhm.
if I see I'll usually recognize a name that that I've seen before. Like I'll know, oh, this person is on the NF Geeks forum. I don't remember much else like what conversations that they've been involved in. But at least I know like where I know them from.
So that's what I get in so much trouble because like I network with people on Facebook for different things, and my mom would be like, "I got a friend request from this person. Do you know them?" Like, I don't know the name. Does it sound familiar? What's their icon? Sometimes if I have an image, I'm more likely to remember than a name.
Oh,
Names and
okay.
titles are so hard for me. Like even when I watch a new TV show, I will have a notepad and I'll write names and put little notes so I remember who that is. That way I
Uh,
can figure out. I'm just so bad.
yeah, yeah. But it's hard when people change their Facebook profile pictures all the time.
Yeah, there's some people that they keep the same thing for a very long time, and there's other people, yeah, they change it almost every week or something.
Yeah. And then when it's not even a picture of them, and then I'm just like, do not expect me to remember who you are.
I know, it's like there's some people that put something very generic on there or some symbol that a lot of other people are using too. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, ugh, I'm not gonna know who that is unless it's somebody like I've talked to um, one on one or something.
Yeah.
Sorry, my cat's like trying to get my attention here. She's a spoiled brat. There she is. Um, alright, let me see, I had a question here. Oh, okay, so like, INFJs have the loops with the NI and TI.
Oh yeah.
Um, have you ever experienced like some kind of loop like that?
I usually hesitate to call it a loop,
Okay.
but I pretty much know what it is, where you're just kind of stuck in your introverted functions,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I think of it as like just kind of being stuck in my head and not actually doing anything and getting out and doing stuff. Uh, and I that's something I experience a lot actually, especially lately, um, where I just where the only thing I really want to do is just stay home and either you just keep on checking Facebook or watching TV, watching YouTube videos, um, and then spending time just lost in my thoughts that just kind of keep repeating over and over again. Um,
Right.
that's kind of what I've heard of as the TINI loop, where you're just like not taking in any new information, not interacting with the world. Um, so yeah, that's something I do experience, but um, the thing about having a full time job and having responsibilities at church and having to eat, that's like kind of forces me to do other stuff. Um, and so I think where it gets me into trouble is like, especially on the weekends, if I know there are some errands I need to run, I'll procrastinate on doing those things because it's like, I just lose track of time, just staying home and sitting around um, and just kind of like doing whatever I feel like doing, and then before I know it, the whole day is over. So,
Yeah.
um, but I don't know if that really counts though, because it's like I'm still, because I'm still doing stuff around the house,
Yeah.
but
And it's not like with what I understand with the NITI loop is usually it comes with amount of detraction.
mm,
And I totally get that. It does get depressing. I think maybe because the FE being in the middle, when I close myself off from other people,
mm.
it does become depressing, but it gets hard also to break out of that cycle. So
Yeah,
I
because
didn't
you're yeah, because you
it's
kind of have to rely on other people to break you out of that.
and I didn't know if like the function staffing different if any introverted loop would affect somebody of another personality differently.
Yeah, I actually have not heard of like how the loops manifest in other types that much. Like I hardly ever hear about like like INTPs talking about TISI loops. Um,
Mm-hmm. Are you still there?
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Something happened over here.
Lost your video there. Okay, there you go.
Oh, there you are. Hey, now I can actually see you.
Okay.
For a long time, I had a picture of myself on there. I'm like, okay.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Sorry. It's a new cell phone, and this first time I actually used the video chat with it, so
Oh,
I'm getting used to
okay.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you never heard anything with like you said an SI, um, FI, or
Or just yeah, just whatever other types would have loops. Like I don't really know what they would look like, or like yeah, like FI SI loops for INFPs, or whatever other types.
um,
I know there actually is. I have seen a web page that kind of like lists all the different loops and tries to associate them with like personality disorders.
oh, okay.
Uh, um, and yeah, I don't remember what the website was, but and I didn't even know like how much of it is even valid. It was just like some guy's theory, but
Hmm. Might just be interesting to read just for fun.
yeah, the I do yeah I remember that the TINI loop was associated with schizoid personality disorder, which is actually kind of funny because when I read the symptoms of schizoid personality disorder, I can somewhat relate to it, and I actually have tested as schizoid personality disorder in one of those silly internet mental illness
Mhm.
tests. Um,
So maybe there's a little validity to it.
maybe, but yeah, it's kind of because I and then I started looking into schizoid personality disorder to see like what it actually is and what it looks like. But there's hardly any information out there on it, and like no,
Hmm.
there's no like there's no YouTube videos of people that say they have it because like most it's one of those disorders that very rarely gets diagnosed because the people who have it don't see it as a problem.
Right.
So
And then there's some people like if they're a loner or something, they're like, oh, they're abnormal. He doesn't interact with people, and it's like, wait a minute. There's some people that get along just fine with
yeah,
very little interaction. Like that, that's
yeah,
not necessarily a problem.
yeah. Um, but it's like yeah, I kind of wonder if like if I'm somewhat in that category because it's like I interact with people, but mainly because I know I have to, or because I know it's because I know it's healthy for me. Whereas
Hmm.
I can go like at least 6 days with no human interaction whatsoever because I've done it before, and I was fine by the end of the week. I was snowed in for 6 days. By the time I actually when it was actually safe to go out, I went to Starbucks and I went grocery shopping, and then I came home.
Gotta get the necessities.
Yeah, and then then I went to church the next day, and it just felt like I just had a normal week. Like I didn't feel like a sudden need to be with people again. It was like, okay, well, yeah, this is now things are back to normal.
You ever feel like, ah, good week. I didn't have to talk to anybody. Or
Not really, because like once the week is over, like I'm not even thinking about the past week anymore.
okay. Oh, okay. So that made me think of another thing. Are you like very future oriented or just in the moment?
I do consider myself living in the moment. I'll think ahead to like I might think about like what's coming up in the next day or two. Um, but it's not rigid at all. Like like I might have a thought like what am I going to have for dinner tomorrow night, and then I'll kind of stop there and then think about something else, but then without even answering my own question.
So
Um,
the concept of planning like a month ahead or a year ahead is just like not what you want to do.
yeah, I mean I was like really hesitant about like when I went to Hawaii this past year, um, and I knew it's Honolulu. It's like one of the most popular vacation destinations in the world. So you have to like book these hotels like months ahead of time.
Mhm.
And I was like really nervous about doing that because it's like I don't, like I don't know if things are going to come up. Am I going to be able to go on this trip? Um, and the only reason I did it was because like I knew I really wanted to go because like it was like this big event, like this lost 10-year reunion, and it's like um, and so like I just went ahead and registered for the event like 4 months in advance, and I was like, even then I was like really nervous about it. I like really hoping I'd be able to get a full refund if something came up.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm like, if something else came up, would there be anything else you wanted to? Like, I mean, you, because the Lost reunion, I mean, that's like,
yeah,
that would have been something so unique. What else could have topped that?
well that's the thing. It's like like that was what made me actually commit to going because like it just made me I realized well yeah there's no way I'm not gonna go to this thing. Um, but I'm talking about like just the smaller details like
Mhm.
what if I find a better detail on or better deal on a hotel on a different hotel or a better place to stay. What if I decide I want to do something else like throughout on different days of the week.
Uh,
Um, and even on the days, even once I got there, I had like more than half. I knew I was going to be there for 9 days, and like other than the 3 days of the event and a possible like um, meeting some friends for swing dancing and meeting another friend there. I really had like no agenda for the rest of the days there. So like I had like full days with like nothing planned, and I would just spend those days just kind of like just going for a walk, seeing what's around the area, and like just kind of exploring and just exploring on my own. And a few of the event attendees bought tickets to go to the Pearl Harbor tour,
mhm.
and it was like, well, it wasn't like I mean, I was kind of interested in going, but not enough to like actually commit to like getting up early in the morning and going and standing in line. And so like it was just because of that. Like I just didn't really want to commit to it until like the actual day. Like if I knew like if nothing else came up and I had nothing better to do, yeah, I would have done it. But it's like since I knew I had to commit to it at that moment, I just declined it because I just didn't want to do that, and I just wanted to had the day just free to do whatever, just do whatever I wanted, and on the spur of the moment. And so
Yeah.
I only, yeah, basically I only plan stuff when I have to.
I was just thinking because when you said, last week it's behind me, I don't even think about it, and I was thinking about some of the uh, descriptions on INFJs being very future oriented, and I don't know, haven't read anything about other personality types being like oriented towards the past. Like
Hmm.
thinking about what was, except, well, maybe people who are SI dominant.
Yeah, I was just gonna say SJs do that a lot. My ISFJ friend will like just talk about like what she did this past, in the past week, and like explains like talk about stuff in detail. Like, we went here, we went this, we did this and that, we did this.
My mom's an ISFJ,
Hmm.
and uh, it's kind of funny. Like, there's some people in my family, I have no idea what their personalities are. My mom tested as an ISFJ, and I'm like, yeah, that's totally you. When we're watching more videos and stuff, and the more I read up on it, it's like, aha, and the more clicks, and it's helped me understand my mom a lot more,
Yeah.
which helps me be a little more patient with her.